What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another Walking Dead video for today. This one's going to be doing the second Walking Dead Good and Bad video series. Of course, last we did Rick Grimes, the Rick Grimes Good and Bad of Rick Grimes. This one, we're going to be doing a Good and Bad of Glenn Rhee from the Walking Dead television series.
Please silence the whispers.
Okay, guys, so this is going to be doing a Glenn Rhee good and bad video. So, of course, the last one we talked about Rick Grimes. We talked about the good and bad of Rick Grimes. So if you want to go ahead and see that one, it was posted last week in the channel. And if you want to see it, it is in the good and bad video playlist as well in the channel. So, yeah, really cool stuff. Now, Glenn Rhee. So, the good and bad decisions of Glenn Rhee. So, before I get into it, I want to say that he definitely is one of the characters I feel like that has done a lot of good decisions throughout the series. There are a lot of characters throughout The Walking Dead that don't. A lot of characters do bad decisions at some point. But, you know, I feel like Glenn is really one of those characters that really, for most of his character has done, you know, good decisions. I can only count maybe a few bad decisions he's done, but, you know, he really does think things through, and he really is, you know, good at, you know, being a survivor in the zombie apocalypse, you know. And if it wasn't for Lucille and Negan killing him, you know, and picking him in the lineup, I do believe that Glenn still would be alive at this time. So, yeah, and I think that he would be a lot more brutal nowadays, to be honest. I think so, too. So, yeah. So season 1, so of course he saves Rick from the tank. That was a good decision because look at where Rick gets the group. You know, Rick does so much for the group because of Glenn saving Rick in the first place. So Glenn, absolutely amazing decision there. That is a very good decision by Glenn. So yeah, of course, throughout season 1, you know, they don't do too much. He does go back into the city with Rick, and he does get captured by the Vatos, but none of that is his fault, so I'm not really going to count any of that. But, in season 2, of course, when they're on their way to, Fort Benning, of course, we get to see, Glenn, you know, meet Maggie, of course, at the farm. So, you know, Glenn pretty much, gets, you know, gets with, you know, Maggie, and of course has, you know, a zombie apocalypse girlfriend at that point. Of course, with the whole pharmacy thing and all that kind of stuff. So, Glenn having a love interest in the zombie apocalypse is a very good idea because, you know, I mean, okay, yes, it's maybe not, you know, a safe idea because you don't know whether or not your partner is really gonna, you know, still be with you, you know, like even like 2 days after. Like even Dale told Glenn, he's like, Glenn, what were you thinking? And he's like, I was thinking I might be dead tomorrow, you know. So it's like, yeah, you know, it makes sense. But of course, the one thing is as well is that Glenn, you know, definitely has to watch out because Herschel is not a big fan of Glenn at first, yeah, you know, so there is that. But I do like, you know, the beginning of the relationship between Maggie and Glenn. I thought it was pretty good. And Glenn goes to kind of get the stuff for Lori at the pharmacy and all that kind of stuff. Now, that's all fine. That's all good stuff. But you know, I have to definitely give Glenn points for finding Maggie in the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, that is a definitely a good decision, is being with Maggie because for obvious reasons. So, anyway, just saying. So, anyway, so, of course, we've got, you know, the farm storyline that goes through Glenn, who, kind of has to keep all these secrets in. One is the walkers in the barn, and the other one is that Lori is pregnant. He does not handle this situation well. You know, spark plugs, huh? You want to tell me what's going on, if you guys remember that? And, like, he's like, you're old, you know things. So, what if somebody told you something that somebody else shouldn't know? Glenn, stop being dramatic. Spit it out. And he's like, there's walkers in the barn and Lori's pregnant. And you just see Dale's face, the classic Dale face. You know, I love it. I thought that was just awesome. And he just says it. He just says it to Dale, you know. And then Dale kind of goes to talk to Herschel, and he's like, took a long walk this morning. I ended up by the barn. It's like, you know, yeah, no, Glenn told you. So anyway, you know, and, you know, anyway, and then of course, Dale even talks to Lori about her being pregnant and all that kind of stuff, and he's like, you know, he tells Lori, he's like, what did you expect from Glenn? Like, you know, he doesn't, you know, he can't deal with this type of, you know, drama. So, but yeah, anyway, so, basically, he tells the group, guys, the barn's full of walkers, and of course, Shane freaks out and all that kind of stuff. So, was he right to tell the group about the walkers in the barn? Absolutely. So that is another good decision, because if he kept that secret for longer, if he listened to Maggie and not Dale, things might have gone bad. So, yeah, that's for sure. So, of course, Rick tries to negotiate with Herschel and all that kind of stuff, and of course we get to see when Herschel leaves, Glenn kind of steps up and he's like, hey, Rick, I know the bar in town or whatever, I'll take you there, and that type of deal. So, apparently, we didn't see it, but apparently Maggie, when Glenn goes with Rick, apparently just before, according to what Glenn says to Rick on their way to the bar to go see if Herschel's okay, apparently Maggie said that she loves him. So, Rick says it's, you know, something we don't get enough of these days, so enjoy it. Yeah, anyway, really cool stuff there. So, I really like it. I really like too how Glenn, he covers Rick. He does all this stuff, of course, he kind of blames Maggie for getting in his head or something like that at the barn, which I found kind of a filler storyline, where he gets back and he's like, I only thought about myself and stuff. I'm just like, okay, like, you know, it doesn't go anywhere, you know. It's just the whole Glenn being mad at Maggie for getting in his head at the bar, it was just kind of stupid to me. I didn't really get that. But anyway, I don't know, I only thought of myself, and he just walks away. Like, I don't know, am I the only one that felt like that kind of, that stuff was kind of filler? I don't know, that to me just felt really fillerish, to be honest. But anyway, so we do get to see in this season, of course, Glenn tell Maggie at the end of the season, once they're off the farm, that he loves her, so that's cool. Of course, he gets the watch from Herschel. And then in season 3, so at the prison, so, you know, at the prison storyline, we don't get too much from him in season 3. He's, you know, he's there, he's part of the group, that type of deal. But of course, the big stuff is when he gets captured by Merle. Him and Maggie get captured by Merle. So, of course, they kind of have no choice. You know, he's beating him up. He even lies to Merle and says that, like T-Dog and Lori and, like, all these people, Andrea and stuff, are alive, Dale and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, as soon as Glenn says Andrea, Merle knows he's lying, right? He's like, really? Is that right? So, yeah, that's really cool stuff. So he tells him where the prison is. He had no choice, and Rick says no need to apologize. Yeah, basically, he gets beat up pretty bad, that's for sure. Plus what happens with Maggie as well. Really, some sick stuff, from the governor there. So, governor, really awesome villain, of course, as always. But, yeah, so, you know, Maggie and Glenn kind of mad at each other for what happened. You know, Glenn is kind of on a war path, as Herschel says he wants to kill the governor. I love it, too, when the governor attacks the prison. If you guys remember in the episode where Axel's killed, where the prison gets attacked, and then you have, like, Glenn that's driving in the truck around the prison, and when Glenn's driving towards the prison, the governor's driving out of the prison, and literally Glenn and the governor drive past each other, and Glenn doesn't even notice it until the governor's already driven past him. It's like, holy crap, like, literally the governor and Glenn just, like drove past each other. If you guys remember that, when the governor attacked the prison, am I the only one that remembers that? Well, like the governor, like, is attacking the prison, he drives through, and then all of a sudden they just drive right past each other, and Glenn's like, what the heck, did I just drive past the governor? Like, you know, for a minute there, the first time I saw it, I was like, is Glenn gonna, like, turn around and try to go back to and chase the governor down or something? I don't know. But, like, I don't know. I really thought that scene was really crazy. But, of course, the next thing I want to mention is when he proposes to Maggie. So he asks Herschel first, and then, you know, he does it. So, that's really cool, you know. We never really saw, like, a wedding or anything like that, but, you know, they're husband and wife at that point, I'd say, and, you know, it's pretty cool stuff. So, then, of course, we have season 4. We have the question of, around that time, I believe, they thought Maggie was pregnant, but then they found out she wasn't. And then, of course, Glenn gets sick, of course, with the illness. So, it's a close one for him, definitely, but they get back in time. Tyrese, Daryl, and the others, Michonne and all them, and they do save Glenn. But it definitely gets pretty close, you know. But the illness was just a really filler storyline for me. I didn't really care for it too much. So then, of course, the prison falls, and they're kind of looking for each other. Glenn's looking for Maggie. And, of course, they do find each other eventually after all this time in the cave. He fights Abraham. He does all this stuff just to get to Maggie. So, definitely going out there and trying to find Maggie, you know, I'm going to have to say is definitely a very good decision for Glenn. Definitely. I have to say, you know, I don't think, you know, Glenn marrying Maggie or doing any of this stuff, you know, I don't think there's any positives there, but definitely, you know, I have to give Glenn a good decision, a very good decision for, you know, really just saying to Abraham, no, I'm not going with you to stupid DC, I'm gonna find Maggie, and that's, if you don't like it, too bad, you know, standing his ground, that's for sure. So, they go to Terminus, which definitely, I would say is a bad decision for Glenn, but what else were they gonna do? So I can't blame him. Honestly, I would probably go to Terminus as well just to see. I mean, what else are you gonna do, really? Go to DC. You don't know where DC is. It's far, like, it's very far. Like Eugene said, they're a day's walk from Terminus. Who knows what they have there? Obviously, it didn't work out, but still, couldn't hurt to check, like Rosita said, and they went to Terminus. And Glenn took them there. But, either way, still, but so did Rick. So did Rick. He took Michonne, Carl, and Daryl there. So, they all kind of screwed up there. It wasn't just Glenn. But how were you gonna know they were bad people anyway? That's the thing. So, that's not a bad decision for Glenn. I'm actually gonna say trying to take the group to safety to go to Terminus, just thinking that Terminus could be safe is a good decision for Glenn. That's just my opinion. Season 5. So they escape Terminus, of course, the church, all that kind of stuff. And Glenn and Maggie decide to go with Abraham to Washington, D.C. Bad decision. I know he was trying to keep the peace between Rick and Abraham when they were about to fight, but Glenn and Maggie going to Washington, I'm sorry, but no. Like, honestly, I would not go with Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita and Tara over Rick, who you've known since the beginning of the apocalypse, or close to it, Carl, all these people that Glenn knows, and he's just going to leave them for stupid DC, where you know full well probably that it's not, that Eugene's probably lying anyway. You could tell Glenn probably wasn't even really buying that Eugene had the cure anyway, so it's like, I don't know, like, I'm sitting here like, I'm like, Glenn, honestly, bud, bad decision. So bad decision for Glenn, and Maggie, both of them deciding to go with Abraham to DC. Really bad decision. So yeah, then of course, Glenn, of course, in Alexandria, once they get to Alexandria, we have the stuff between him and Nicholas. So, I love how he handles Aiden, I love how he handles that. So, I'm gonna give him a good decision just for punching Aiden, okay? Let's just make that clear. But, the Nicholas thing. Okay, Glenn, honestly, so you guys notice the trend here. Honestly, Glenn has only done one bad decision in this video so far, taking the group to, not taking the group to Terminus, going with Abraham and Rosita and Eugene to DC when, Rick and all these people you've known way longer are just gonna stay at the church. Him and Maggie doing that, that's Glenn's only bad decision, but the other bad decision Glenn did was keeping Nicholas alive. Look where it gets him. The dumpster. He almost dies. He gets shot. He loses Noah because of him. Why on earth would you let him live? I don't care how much he's begging. Honestly, some people you can redeem in The Walking Dead. Some people are redeemable. I will definitely give you that. There are some characters in Walking Dead that are redeemable. Nicholas, no. Yes, he tried to help you, but like, after all that, why would you keep him alive? Like, it frustrates me so much, to see Glenn just kind of keep him alive like that after he shot him, after he got Noah killed, after he did all this stuff, and then, of course, later on doesn't help by almost killing Glenn because the whole dumpster thing and anyway, like, it's just like, oh my god, like, honestly. Glenn wouldn't even have been under that dumpster if it wasn't for Nicholas. Let's be honest here. So yeah, Glenn would have figured it out. Nicholas, he didn't know what he was doing. So, keeping Nicholas alive, very bad decision for Glenn. Absolutely. So yeah, next up, so I have to say, I really do like, though, how Glenn, survives it and how he, lifts the balloons up and he kind of lets everybody know that he's okay. That is a very good decision because that lets them know that Glenn is out there, he's okay, he's just trapped outside because the walkers are obviously at Alexandria at the moment. So, yeah, but then, of course, the outpost and all that kind of stuff. So, they save Maggie, everything goes good with that, nothing really too big there, but of course, we do get, Glenn's first, human kills when they go to the satellite station. So, I'm going to say it's a bad decision killing them because of the fact of what happens with the Saviors later. I'm just saying, Glenn, bad decision killing the Saviors. It was a bad decision for any of them to take out the Saviors at the time that they did at the satellite outpost. Sneaking in the middle of the night and the way they did it was good and smart and quiet, sure. But it was still brutal and they still shouldn't have done it, to be honest, because of what happens with Negan and the Saviors a few episodes later. So, yeah, and then of course we got the lineup, and Glenn, his final thing, of course, stepping out of line, and not wanting Maggie to get killed. I should put you out of your misery right now, and Glenn kind of steps out of line. You could call it a bad decision for sure, but I'm going to say it's a good decision because he wanted to make sure that if anybody out of the two, him or Maggie, was going to die, it was going to be him. And that's why he kind of, stepped out of line, is to bring the attention to him, and for Negan to get away from Maggie. And and it worked. Man, did it ever. So, yeah, but then, of course, Glenn gets killed as well. So, you know, there is that. But I have to say, guys, Glenn is a really great character. He's only got 3 bad decisions. Going with Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita to Washington and leaving Rick and the others at the church. Really bad decision. Keeping Nicholas alive is, you know, definitely, his biggest one, and killing the people at the satellite station because of what happens later. So, yeah, definitely. So, what are your favorite moments from Glenn? What are his, maybe write, you know, 5 good decisions and 5 bad decisions? By the way, guys, stay tuned because next week we're going to be doing a Andrea good and bad video, the good and bad of Andrea from the Walking Dead television series. So, of course, catch that next week. That was suggested by Epic Zombie Killer. This one suggested by Brian Archam. So, of course, everybody go subscribe to him. He suggested this good and bad video. He is probably stopping YouTube now, but you know, I want to kind of shout him out just because he suggested a lot of, you know, videos. So yeah, thank you very much to Brian for suggesting this this good and bad video for Glenn. Go see the Rick one, of course, if you haven't seen this, the Rick one from last week. And yeah, anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Write your comments in the comment section below, and if you're new here, click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my Walking Dead videos. Follow Dan's Walking Dead reviews on Instagram, and of course, guys, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for a Let's Chit Chat video leading up to The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 10, Stalker. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Anybody out there?